Welcome, everybody. This is Spooky Mysteries. I haven't recorded or posted in a while. If you notice, everything looks different. We have a window here now. That window is the outside, and the outside is Florida. We are in our new office in our new place. Yeah, I haven't got all my decorations up, so we're going to work on that later on. That's going to be a different thing. So let's get on with the story. We're not going to do too much. We're just going to get straight to the story, and we're going to keep it to the point today. So let's begin. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what about the rest of Nevada? Beyond the neon glare of the strip, out in the vast silent desert, there are stories that refuse to stay buried, secrets festering in the deep, cold water of its lakes, and tragedies that echo in its empty canyons and dust-choked hotels. There's a darkness here that doesn't play by the rules. We're talking about a terrifying triangle of paranormal hotspots, a trinity of locations so steeped in dread and sorrow they've become infamous. This is Nevada's unholy trinity. Nevada is a land of extremes, blistering heat and sudden lethal cold, unimaginable wealth and devastating poverty. It's a landscape forged by brutal geology and a history written in boom and bust cycles, where fortunes were made and lives were lost with equal speed. That history didn't just scar the land, it left ghosts. Tonight we journey into the heart of that darkness. We're investigating three of the most terrifying legends in the American West, each forming a point in a triangle of fear that spans the state. First, we'll travel to the serene yet treacherous waters of Pyramid Lake, home to a legend that blurs the line between ancient indigenous spirituality and a chilling modern horror story, the Water Babies. Then we venture to the outskirts of Reno to a place of alleged violence, Robb Canyon, where the whispers of brutal urban legend still echo in the wind. Finally, we'll make our pilgrimage to a decaying monument of the Gold Rush era, the infamous Goldfield Hotel, a building so saturated with tragedy and paranormal energy that many have called it a direct portal to the other side. This is an exploration of how folklore, historical trauma, and the unforgiving Nevada environment conspire to create legends that terrify and captivate us. So prepare yourself as we uncover the unsettling truths that connect these three legendary paranormal hotspots. And as we begin, we're going to talk about our first destination. Our first destination is a place of stark, breathtaking beauty, Pyramid Lake, about 40 miles from Reno. It's one of the last remnants of the ancient Lake Lahontan, which covered much of Nevada during the Ice Age. Its deep alkaline waters reach depths of around 350 feet and reflect the sky like a mirror. Dotted along its shore are surreal tufa rock formations, the most famous giving the lake its name. It's a sacred place for the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe, who have lived here for millennia. But beneath the serene surface lies a legend so pervasive and chilling it's been whispered by locals for generations, the legend of the Water Babies. The popular sensationalized version of the story is horrifyingly simple. It claims that in ancient times, the Paiute tribe would dispose of premature or disabled infants by throwing them into the lake. As the story goes, the spirits of these babies now haunt the waters, their ghostly cries mimicking a living infant to lure unsuspecting people to the water's edge, where they are pulled in and drowned. People report hearing the disembodied sounds of crying or laughing children in the wind, especially at dawn or dusk. It's a terrifying tale that has become one of Nevada's most infamous ghost stories, but here's where the story gets twisted. Drink some water. Gotta stay hydrated. That version is a harmful distortion of a much deeper spiritual tradition, and there is no historical evidence to support the claim of systemic infanticide at the lake. According to tribal members and cultural experts, the entities known as water babies are not the ghosts of human children. In some Great Basin tribal traditions, these beings are powerful non-human water spirits that have existed since long before people. They are described as guardians of springs, lakes, and rivers, elemental forces to be respected and at times feared. These spirits are seen as possessing immense power, capable of both enchanting and destructive acts. The Paiute and the Shoshone traditions specifically note that these spirits can mimic a baby's cry, not as a ghostly echo, but as a display of their supernatural ability to deceive and lure humans. This isn't the act of a vengeful ghost, it's the work of an ancient and formidable entity. The popular ghost story flans the complex spiritual concept into a gruesome tale of murder and revenge, misrepresenting a people and their history, a common pattern where indigenous traditions are retold by outsiders. Yet whether you believe in spirits or not, the real danger of Pyramid Lake is undeniable. Stories of people disappearing may have a more terrestrial, but no less terrifying explanation. The lake is immense, and its conditions can change in an instant. Winds can whip up without warning, creating large, dangerous waves. The water is brutally cold, posing a serious risk of hypothermia. Over the years, the lake has tragically claimed victims with bodies often never recovered from its depths. So what are people hearing when the wind carries a sound like a baby's cry? The call of an ancient water spirit? A being the Paiute have known for millennia? Or is it simply the wind playing trick on the ears? A psychological manifestation of the very fear this beautiful but treacherous landscape inspires. The legend of the water baby shows how a place's true danger and spiritual identity can become twisted into a modern folktale, where the lines between haunting culture and natural hazard are forever blurred. From the ancient haunted waters of Pyramid Lake, our journey takes us south to the growing suburbs of Reno. Here, a modern tragedy has given birth to a much younger, but no less terrifying legend. We travel from a story of folklore to a story of forensics, to a canyon where the violence of the recent past refuses to stay silent. Our next stop is Robb Canyon. On the western edge of Reno, nestled against the Sierra Nevada foothills, is Robb Canyon. For decades, this rugged ravine has been the subject of a disturbing local legend, a story of horrific violence that has cemented it as one of the most feared locations in the region. Unlike the ancient folklore of Pyramid Lake, the terror of Robb Canyon is rooted in a specific alleged event in the 1970s. The story goes that a hiker made a gruesome discovery: the partially buried and mutilated bodies of 4 people, 3 men, 1 woman. However, here's where it gets murky. Despite the story's persistence in local lore, extensive searches of the public archives by journalists and researchers have found no police reports or news coverage to confirm this specific crime ever happened. It's best classified as a powerful urban legend, not a documented historical event. According to this legend, the victims were never identified, the killer was never caught, and the case went cold, leaving a void where a haunting began to grow. Today, many locals avoid Robb Canyon after dark. The most common and terrifying claim is the sound of a blood-curdling scream echoing from the canyon floor. Residents in the houses overlooking the canyon have also reported seeing strange, inexplicable lights moving through the ravine at night. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers who have ventured into the canyon report other phenomena. Many describe an overwhelming sense of dread, forcing them to turn back. They speak of sudden cold spots and seeing vague human-like figures known as shadow people darting between the sagebrush. Some investigators have even been physically affected, claiming to be held down by an unseen force or hit by small objects. Much of the reported activity is said to be focused near a large dead tree by the creek bed, where the screams are said to originate. What makes Robb Canyon's story so compelling is it is linked to an unresolved tragedy. The lack of a conclusion, no justice, no peace, no names, is the perfect recipe for a ghost story. Are the screams just a mountain lion, or its cries distorted by the canyon's acoustics? Are the shadow figures tricks of moonlight, or has the sheer power of this urban legend stained the very ground, creating a place where fear takes on a life of its own? The legend of Robb Canyon is a chilling reminder that some stories are too terrible to be forgotten, becoming modern memorials to a mystery that may have never existed outside of our own fears. It's the second chilling point of our unholy trinity. You also got to take into fact that enough people know the story and it's being willed into existence. Like, there's so many horror movies and horror stories that are based off of this specific thing happening. Like, the best one I can do is Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street. His power lies in people fearing him. If you don't know him or fear him, he has no control. And that's basically what's happening here. This story has gotten so strong that it created itself there. We're about to journey to our final point and perhaps most infamous location. The stories from here are the stuff of nightmares, and the evidence captured within its walls is some of the most talked about in the paranormal field. If these first 2 legends send a chill down your spine and you want to keep exploring the world's darkest corners with us, take a moment to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's get back to it. Remember, this is a 50-part series. We're barely on state 4 or 5, I think. So we still have quite a few to go. Our final destination lies deep in the Nevada desert, in a ghost town built on a mountain of gold and a river of greed. It's home to a monument of faded opulence, a place where the ghosts of the past aren't just remembered, they're said to be permanent residents waiting for a visitor in the dark. We are headed to a place that has been called one of the scariest on earth. We're going to the Goldfield Hotel. There's a lot of haunted hotels. I should do like a haunted hotel series, starting with a Triple H hotel. So many haunted hotels. And the desolate expanse of central Nevada sits the near ghost town of Goldfield. But for a brief, brilliant moment in the early 20th century, it was one of Nevada's largest cities, a bustling metropolis whose population swelled to around 20,000 people, all drawn by a massive gold rush. An estimated 86 million in gold was pulled from the surrounding hills, creating a city of staggering wealth. And at its heart stood the crown jewel, Goldfield Hotel. Opened in 1908, the Goldfield was the height of luxury, acclaimed as the finest hotel between San Francisco and Denver. Its 4 stories housed 154 rooms with an unheard of luxury like telephones and private bathrooms. The lobby was a spectacle of mahogany, leather, and gold leaf ceilings, but booms always bust. Within a decade, the gold ran dry and the population vanished. The hotel saw intermittent use, including as housing during World War II before finally closing its doors for good around 1945. For decades, it has stood decaying, a magnificent tomb in the desert. But while the living checked out, the hotel is said to be far from empty. It's now renowned for being one of the most intensely haunted buildings in the U.S., a reputation amplified by paranormal TV shows, with the Ghost Adventures crew famously calling it a portal to the underworld. The hotel's most famous and tragic legend is that of a woman named Elizabeth. The story claims she was a prostitute who became pregnant by the hotel's powerful owner, George Wingfield. Terrified of scandal, Wingfield allegedly chained her to the radiator in room 109, where she died. In the most horrifying detail, it is said her newborn baby was thrown down an old mine shaft beneath the hotel. But this is pure legend. Historians have found no records of Elizabeth, and the story's timeline doesn't quite add up, suggesting it was likely invented much later to boost the haunted hotel's reputation. Still, the paranormal phenomena associated with the story are relentless. From room 109 is known for intense, inexplicable cold. Investigators have reported seeing an apparition of a woman and have recorded electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, of a woman crying. The faint sound of a baby's cry is also sometimes reported from the dark basement. Again, from what historians have said and what everyone knows, this isn't a real thing, but it is a legend with so much power and belief behind it that it's manifested itself as a reality. Which is also another thing too. Like, it is said that it's will over matter. It is said that if you focus hard enough to create something, you can make it. You can will it into existence. And this is one of those things where enough people that believe in the paranormal, enough people want this to be a thing, that it's actually happening. Or there could have just been some other ghostly apparition of a woman and baby. But Elizabeth and her chart aren't the only alleged spirits. Wingfield himself is said to linger, his presence announced by the phantom smell of his cigars. On the 3rd floor, the spectral form of 2 supposed suicide victims are sometimes reported, and perhaps most terrifying is a malevolent presence known as the Stabber, an angry spirit said to lunge at visitors in the former dining room with a spectral knife before vanishing. That'd be terrifying. Seeing something come at you with a knife, and right before it makes contact, it just disappears. That would be terrifying. The Gold Leaf Hotel is a perfect storm for a haunting. Its location built on the chaotic energy of a gold rush, a place of extreme opulence followed by decades of decay, supercharged by media attention. It stands as a powerful testament of how history, tragedy, and modern paranormal culture can create a truly legendary haunting. It is the final terrifying vertex of Nevada's unholy trinity. We return from our journey through Nevada's dark heart, having visited the 3 points of its unholy trinity. At Pyramid Lake, we found a story where ancient spiritual belief is twisted into modern horror, born from a landscape as dangerous as it is sacred. In Robb Canyon, we found a place scarred not by a confirmed crime, but by a powerful urban legend where local fear has given birth to a modern haunting. And at the Goldfield Hotel, we stood before a monument to a boom and bust history, a gilded cage as saturated with tales of tragedy and despair that has become a global epicenter for the paranormal. Folklore, trauma, and a harsh environment. These are the threads that binds Nevada's unholy trinity. They show us that a haunting is never just a ghost. It's a reflection of our history, our fears, and the stories we tell to make them make sense in the dark. What is it about Nevada? Is it the vast, empty desert that invites lonely spirits? Or do the ghosts of its violent boom and bust history simply have nowhere to go? The Unholy Trinity offers no easy answers, only more chilling questions that linger long after the stories are told. Thank you for joining us on this investigation into Nevada's unholy trinity. Which of these legends did you find the most terrifying? The ancient mysteries of the water babies, the urban legends of Robb Canyon, or the legion of spirits in the Goldfield Hotel? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe for more investigations to the world's most haunted places. Until next time, stay vigilant and try not to listen too closely to the sounds you hear in the dark. If y'all are still here, this is actually a little bonus part that I added at the very end. I knew you were going to look at me too when I said that. But wait, before we sign off, there is one more location we couldn't talk about Nevada's paranormal landscape without mentioning a site so highly classified by the paranormal community, it's often dubbed the Second Skinwalker Ranch due to its extensive history of UFO sightings, magnetic anomalies, and private investigations. Located near Pioche, Nevada, Mount Wilson Ranch is a 150-year-old historic property originally established during the 1870s gold rush. But this remote high desert property eventually attracted a very different kind of prospect, prominent fringe science investigators. Long before Utah Skinwalker Ranch became a pop culture phenomenon, aerospace entrepreneur Robert Bigelow quietly studied Mount Wilson's ranch alongside elite scientific consultants like Jacques Vallée and Hull Puthoff. They weren't looking for ghosts, they were looking for data, and they found it. Researchers documented a staggering array of anomalous phenomena, including unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs, or UFOs as other people know them, glowing orbs, strange low-frequency sounds, and localized electromagnetic hot zones, or EMF. But the most chilling aspect of Mount Wilson doesn't come from the sky. According to rumors and deep investigation lore, the true source of this high strangeness might be buried in the dirt. Strange subterranean signals or anomalies are believed to be hidden deep beneath the ranch's lower meadows. Nevada's desert is full of secrets, and Mount Wilson Ranch might just be its best kept one. So I have to ask you, what do you think is actually buried beneath these meadows? Is it an ancient crash site, a natural magnetic anomaly, or a military secret? Let me know your theories in the comments below and tell me if you want a full dedicated deep dive into Bigelow's secret ranch in a future episode. Stay spooky, everybody. Bye. And that is truly the end.